What's up, guys? Sub-Zero here, back for another VOD review. Today, we got a VOD from the Tacticians Cup Numero Uno. This is the biggest tournament in the Americas until we get to regionals, of course. There are going to be 3 of these a set, and those are, going to decide who qualifies to bigger tournaments. This is North America, Latin America, Brazil, all together in one big tournament, so we get to see, players from other regions pop off in a way we haven't before in North American tourneys like we had before. But the player who popped off on day one, the hardest, was a North American player. It was Setsuko here. Dominated. He only bought forward 1 game, and besides that, all of his other games were either first or seconds. I think there were like 3 first, 2 seconds, or maybe 3 seconds, 2 first. I mean, who cares? He went first overall, absolutely destroyed the rest of the players in this tournament. I feel like this is something that we see so frequently from Setsuko, is him just destroying the competition. It's so crazy that this guy can consistently do this when other people, when they play TFT, don't find that kind of consistent success, don't find themselves just popping off again and again and again. And Setsuko, I feel like he always does this. He's holding on to this RE2 and wants to play around this kind of Arcanist opener using Amumu, which is a not standard opener. Argument-wise here, we want to play for Streak, good for something. I don't love it in a spot like this. Band of Thieves is okay. The only issue is you don't really have a unit to slam it on. There's not a unit we really want to TG. I like Buried Treasures here because it allows us to play 4 frontline items. I wouldn't be that shocked about Band of Thieves though, but I do like Buried Treasures a bit more here. And yeah, we are just going to pick that up here, and I would have to imagine we're going to level here, play the Nico, play the Amumu, slam the Shojin. We got a Cloak here from our items that could have opened up Adaptive Helm. The only downside to making Adaptive Helm, which I do think is a slightly better item than Shojin, is that then you're left with Sword open, and it's really awkward to play around the Sword, whereas the Cloak can be so many different frontline items, whereas if you're playing AP, the Sword, it's kind of awkward. We're actually going to slam the Cloak onto Amumu here, just trying to play strongest board, trying to save as much HP as possible, and I mean, ideally trying to win this fight and then get to our next round where we might get another full item. Looks like we're just barely going to lose this fight, yeah, to a Teemo with 2 items slammed, kind of just a beast. Pick up a bow here, which I would imagine is going to be a Nashor's if we want to slam. You could also hold on to it and wait a little bit longer, but I'm not against making a Nashor's in a spot like this. Shojin Nashor's, a pretty solid combination of AP items. Ideally, I'd be looking to put these on like a Morgana later, but yeah, I like the Shojin Nashor's here, and looks like, yeah, he hesitates for a second and then ends up slamming it here. Still not necessarily going to win us this fight, though this Ari unit is not a normal unit. She does a lot of work in fights like these, as you can see, just a few casts off, nuking a bunch of guys. The big issue here is we just need frontline. We need some kind of 2-star frontline to play this game just to get somewhere. We did also put the Zoe onto our board here. Not only is this an Arcanist, which, same as the Nico, solid unit, but also could allow us to play Fortune down the line. Say we lose this next fight, we can start really thinking about potentially getting Fortune in later this stage or early stage 3. And it does look like, I mean, actually, I don't know. Janna's such a crazy unit with Static Shiv. I'm actually not sure. I think, yeah, we do end up just winning this. Yeah, the Janna does not have enough damage to win the fight here. So we are going to win our 3rd fight finally. See if we can play from Streak here. We had this Cloak open. Have to imagine it's an Ionic Spark if we can get it. We can't get it, so now our only slam would be a Gargoyle. We might just take something else here. Yeah, looking at just another Cloak here. I don't know if this is going to be Declaw or if we're going to hold on to this. Probably depends on the matchup here. This also does just allow us to play Lux, and wow, he even just slams the Declaw here without even looking at the matchup. I mean, that's a little inexact from Setsuko, but I mean, it's probably fine. I think he's just very confident that he wants to make a tank item here. Very confident the Declaw is a solid item to make in the meta. We obviously don't need to slam it versus this person who is playing Fortune. So maybe a little punished by the over egregious. I don't think that makes any sense. But the slam, that's a little bit early there. We do pick up a Jax too, which is nice. That's helping us with our frontline issue. We are also holding on to a Janna pair here. There is an idea of playing around Janna 2 this game. Could even just be like a Janna reroll or a Zoe reroll game from this spot. It's a comp that I think is a little bit underrated, actually. We're going to fight this guy. Our Ari is positioned really, really nicely to get a decent AoE off with her ulti here. The question is just, can this Amumu prevail versus the Darius? The Declaw is so big in this matchup, and yeah, it's not even close. The Declaw just makes it so hard for the Darius to cut through front lines. So that's a fantastic fight for us. Certainly want to be making gold here. Ideally be making 30 in a spot like this, but because we're holding on to the Zoe and these Jannas, it might be a little bit difficult. So it's going to be interesting to see what Setsuko prioritizes here as far as making gold. We get some extra gold that is going to, yeah, this is a really, really nice Krugs for us because this is going to allow us to make 30 gold, which, without a juicy Krugs like this, it would actually be really difficult. Also note that he still holds on to the Teemo here, still thinking about maybe that stage 3 fortune, which we've seen Setsuko do so often, is just play around fortune in spots like this and have an amazing time with it. It allows him to cap out so high. There is nobody better at capping out their board and saving HP with a big pivot late game than Setsuko. And man, look at this declaw. I feel like it's done so much work against these Dariuses here, who, you know, this Darius has an LW, but he's still doing a lot of magic damage, and the declaw, I feel like, has been fantastic in the back-to-back Darius matchups. So now we have a pretty good 4 streak going into our 3-2 augment here. Still not really sure exactly what we're going to play comp-wise. I love Combat Caster, and from this spot, I feel like it's got to be the pickup here. I feel like this augment is just so good, and we're guaranteed to be playing a carry that's going to be casting a lot because we have a Shojin and a Nashers. So yeah, I feel like this has got to be the pickup here. Looking at this random Sivir here just to get Storyweaver in here, and ooh, there's no way we're cutting Ari, right? It's just a little bit awkward that, yeah, if we do this, we're dropping out of Porcelain and we lose the Porcelain Arcanist. But the upside is getting Storyweaver in, getting the Sivir in to buff our backline. I like a lot. Also interesting that he puts the Sivir like 1 hex to the left. This is something most people I've seen just put it in the little triangle with Kale, but he actually puts Sivir to the left here. Maybe that like prevents AoE or something like that. Finally, we're going to lose to Soju's board with a really juiced up Teemo. Konda also loses their streak there, so that's good at least that there's not a full win streaking player when we're on this spot here. Put the Fortune in the second we lose our streak. This is Setsuko, man. The second he loses a streak, he says, okay, I'll pivot into Fortune here. I'll use this to juice my cash out. I'm 86 HP here. I have 1 on the dice, which means we're probably going to double down here and then see whatever the next number is. We actually get stomped here because we're wrong side. I mean, we're going to lose this fight regardless. This guy is very upgraded. Riven 2, Garen 2, Zyra 2 is the big thing. Zyra is just such a monster in the early game, as I've talked about before. Extra offensive component on Carousel. So we have tier open in this position. There's things like Archangels that we could go for. We don't have the frontline item open. So what do you even really want to go for here? If I was looking to play like around Morgana, I would look for like a Morello, but there's no Morello component. Maybe you do just take Rod plus something here. Rod plus Bow looks completely fine. This could be Static Shiv. Actually, yeah, I actually like this option a lot. It's Rod. It could be even like a Static Shiv Morello. Could be Archangels in a pinch. He is going to push his luck here, of course. 5 stacks. Now that is going to get us to where we want to go, get a big cash out in. We are going to get this Alawi not onto our board. You would think you would play it because, you want to get into 4 Arcanists later. He's actually just going to full, like almost open sell here. Not necessary versus this person at all, but I think there was someone in his pool that he was really scared of. And yeah, that is just the Static Shiv made here because we're playing AP. Static Shiv's never going to be a bad slam, so I like it a lot. And yeah, it's this, I guess it's Tanjo that's in our pool. We've talked about this before, but Setsuko is the king of not having his Fortune loss streak broken. I feel like I never see this guy accidentally drop his Fortune loss streak, and you'll say, oh, I mean, don't pro players at this level not drop their Fortune loss streak at all? But hey, I saw a very, I'm not going to speak names, but I saw a very strong, very, good North American player drop their Fortune loss streak earlier today just because they made an upgrade they shouldn't have and, didn't play for it as well as they could have. We do end up fighting Tanjo here, and fantastically, we do sell our units, so we guarantee this loss. Grief their Fortune cash out here, which is huge, actually, making them lose stacks and lose their Fortune stacking, and we get our own stacks here. So huge play by Setsuko. That's why he's the king of Fortune. He knows he will not greed HP in spots like this. He's absolutely going to greed for a bigger cash out here. And greed to potentially grief the other player. So beautiful stuff from Setsuko. We're pretty rich now. We got a decent number of rounds left with Fortune, right? We have 4 more rounds, I think? It's either 4 or 3 more rounds. So we're pretty, I guess we're 9 stacks, so it's probably 3 more rounds. There's no way we're 9 stacks with just 2. It goes 1 to 8. We must be 3 more rounds, right? He hovered over there for a second, but we'll see it when it comes. So that's a static shift here. Itemization-wise, with the rest of these items, you're probably looking at a Morello, which is why he doesn't look at slamming something like Crown Guard. I would love to play like a Morgana Silas game from here. You have the potential Crown Guard, and then the problem is your items after that are a bit awkward here. Augment-wise here, I like Lotus in a spot like this. I really just don't like the other 2 options very much, so that's something. And yeah, Lotus is, I feel like, an obvious pickup here. None of the other options were very appealing. 2 more fights, yeah. So 2 more. And Setsuko, ooh, he's playing it a little risky here. He's not gonna roll it all to try to spike his board. He's gonna say, I'm getting a cash out in 2 rounds. Okay, he's gonna roll a little bit here. Yeah, I'm surprised honestly that he's not interested in rolling more. But he's going to get the 4 Arcanist board in. He wants to save some HP, but he doesn't want to break his loss streak here because getting over that hump, getting to like 30 stacks will give him a much better cash out than 16 here. Problem is we kill 0 here, so we're down to 28 HP. Yikes, yikes, yikes. That's a big loss. And yeah, we just got 1 more to get us up to 30 stacks. That is a fortune threshold. If you guys don't know, look up fortune loot tables. They exist on the internet. I could put one in the description, but I'm probably going to forget to. But maybe someone, if you ask in the comments, maybe a commenter will be nice enough to give it to you. But if you Google fortune loot table, you can probably find it. But there are specific breakpoints at certain fortune stacks that give you better cash out. So, you know, 29 to 30 gives you a completely different cash out than 30 to 31 gives you no different cash out. So we're up to 39 here, 15 HP. Like I said, Setsuko doesn't value his HP as highly as he values just, you know, getting everything that he wants here. And yeah, he's just gonna pick up Zyra Khan here with potentially a TG, just a good unit to fit onto your board here. And I am down to bring us down to 1x speed here, so that we can see maybe 1.25. Honestly, fuck it, 1x speed for all you guys at home here, just so we can see Setsuko's pivot in real time because he's one of the best at this, and this has got to be a big pivot. We are really, really low. We are really I mean, in a rough spot in general. We're getting our fortune cash out here. This thing is bugged out, so it takes a little bit longer. We pick up an Annie, an Ashe, a Syndra, and a full item here. Not much to work with. The 30 cash out is not that big. Alawi 2 is not bad. Annie pair is pretty good here. Picking up, really just looking for something. Now we have Syndra pair and this Nautilus pair. Gets the Nautilus in, gets the Syndra in. We got to keep rolling here. Still playing 3 Arcanist on this board currently. Boom, there's Syndra 2, not bad. We can potentially, yep, get that out for 4 Arcanist, and it was a decent pivot. Is it enough? Is it enough here to be alive? I mean, only Mortdog knows here. We're gonna make the Shojin here, make the TG, take our full item here, which is gonna be GS on a Syndra. I love it. Ooh, we're still gonna lose this fight down to 2 HP. This is really scary here. 4 Arcanist in. It's not a meta board by any means. We pick up a Hui here. That's also 2 out of 3 Exalted. I don't know if we checked Exalted earlier, but this is an Exalted that we probably can play for. A lot of these boards, it's not too difficult to play for Exalted. We get the Annie in here. I pressed spacebar because I wanted to pause, but then I got afraid that I skipped something. We found the Soraka too. We put a Gunblade on Soraka just to try to live here. And oh my god, this fight is so close, but our Cinder manages to live. This person goes down. Not dead yet, but very low. And okay, he looks at it there. I can't skip back is the problem in this setup. I wanted to go VLC, but VLC like explodes sometimes. But we'll see once he gets it in here what the Exalted actually is here. But I believe it is one that is fittable. We go up to, you know, another 20 gold here, but we still certainly have to roll for better frontline. Annie 2's fantastic. We get Exalted in. Oh, it's okay. It's Soraka plus Hui plus Elune here. Elune kind of fits in as a random invoker, but not amazingly. And yeah, this is going to be our board for now. We pick up an item component here. Got to be a frontline item in this spot. So we're just going to make a Bramble Vest and then take the extra rod. Bramble Declaw on Annie, pretty solid. And this is going to be our setup. We have a lot of combat augments. So hopefully this board will be strong enough. But Setsuko says at this point, I'm going to hold the line. I am not going to roll in this spot. I'm 2 HP, but I have confidence that my board is actually strong enough here. He's actually hoping that this other player dies so that, you know, he at least gets a guaranteed placement there. But this is no fear TFT from Setsuko. He says, ooh, random 5 cost here. Okay, Set is actually pretty nice. I mean, he's an Umbral unit, which gives us our board a little bit of shielding, and he's an extra Warden unit. You'd love to get a 4th Warden in here, but I don't know if it's really doable. You could... Yeah, I mean, there's not really much that you can cut as far as units here. I mean, what a board from Setsuko, though. I know he's 2 HP, but if we can make it to 9, we can look at potentially capping this board out higher. And it's crazy. This is not a meta board by any means. Have you seen somebody play this board here? It's Syndra, random Exalted in with the Hui, with the Soraka, with the Elune, Annie frontline. But this is just classic TFT. Setsuko's played what he hits here. And hey, it's not an 8th. We are actually winning a few fights. He's actually going to level up to 9 here. He's not trying to die. And he's looking for a 5 cost to put onto the Hex here. Yeah, he has to just get this a move in for Warden. It isn't Porcelain, right? We do not have any other Porcelain in. But for Warden, here's a big upgrade. And yes, Setsuko says, I am not just going to die here. I need to level in this spot. And I need to cap my board out on 9. And hey, this fight, Not insanely close, but close enough that you could be scared. You could certainly be scared, though we end up kind of stomping that person there. And we hold this way with 3 stacks, basically. We want Annie item here. Of course, Adaptive Helm looks like the best option, I would say, or like a BT. Probably has to be Adapticone, and he really wants that, but it doesn't. It isn't allowed to be picked up, so we're going to have to take a Morello here. Feels really, really bad. I mean, you can throw it onto Hui, you can throw it onto Nautilus, but we were really looking for a third Annie item here. That's what we would have loved to see in this spot. We have a set now, so he can actually start stacking up that up to 5 stacks, which is what we want to get to. We want to get to a 2-star 5 cost. Ideally find like Lysandre 2 or something, a Zir 2, something, anything to play around in this spot, because our board is decent, but I'm not comfortable in this spot whatsoever, I would say. But hey, he gets the 4 Warden in with the set. Obviously, that set's going to go away soon, and then we're going to have to figure out how to, live our lives from that position once the set's gone. But hey, we're winning fights. We're on a 5 streak here at 2 HP, and Setsuko is doing it. He is climbing the HP ladder. Everyone's so low this game. If we can just live 1 or 2 more fights, we might actually be able to top 4. He's actually still looking at duplicating this Azir here, even though we have potentially a Huitu here. I have to imagine that's going to change. But we'll see here. He wants to roll a bit more. I love this, by the way. Rolls a bit more just to see, like what can we actually find here. And he picks up the set pair. Now we can duplicate the set. He moves the TG over to the set and is just going to play for Warden as his board here. I kind of love this. I really do. We now have a set 2 when our Hui upgrades, and it's a top 5 already. The TG fantastic onto the set. There are a lot of great items he can roll, and yeah, we've actually, I wouldn't say we've made it, but we're starting to get there. He'd love to be able to fit Faded onto this board. Yeah, he wants to pick up an Ahri. I'm not really sure where the Ahri even fits in on this board. You'd have to drop out of Exalted, I guess. Or I guess you could drop Annie, but it's kind of really scary to drop Annie here. So yeah, I don't really know how he fits all this stuff, but he is going to roll here. He wants to pick something up to upgrade his board. A Huitu would be fantastic. Even like an Amumu 2 would be nice, and he does pick up the Huitu at the last second. Starax onto the Annie, beautiful. It's a very solid item on, it's a, in a pinch, a very solid, almost, well, once you get to a certain amount of HP, it's actually better than Warmogs, which is, I don't know if 2-star Annie with these items is over it, but it might be. There's a Lux here, which I don't really know. Like, there's a lot of units that it almost looks like he wants to fit on his board, but I don't really know how he's thinking of fitting them. I think this might just have to end up being our board, and hey, maybe we can go 9 or 10 for Faded, but I mean, at this point, I think we're just playing our strongest board as long as possible. Beautiful swap of the Syndra, by the way, to get away from that Udyr. She is completely fine over here, not getting CC'd at all by the Udyr, and we're gonna beat Rabovan, and 2 people die there, so it's a top 2. It is just us and Soju. He finds the replacement Soraka. This is going to allow him to move items over to the Hui. He's trying to figure out what's actually better. I believe these are both Exalted units, so he's just trying to pick which one's better. I do think that, I mean, Irelia provides armor shred to your team, which is kind of really nice for this set, so it probably has to be the take. But Soraka is utility. But yeah, with the set on your team, I think it has to be this. And it looks like our board is just gonna stomp Soju. Yeah, we win this fight. We had a few more fights to go before the game is over, but so far things are looking great. That's a Faded Spat. This is gonna give Faded. This is huge. This is probably the best possible item that you could get off Carousel here. Now we can bind our Syndra and our set here. You just put the Faded Spat on anyone. Doesn't really matter. Put it on Nautilus for HP, I guess. Find these 2 guys, and our board is spiked even harder here, and it's got to be a win out from this spot, right? How could you lose? Our board just spiked really hard, and we beat Soju so badly last time. And Soju is just playing an Ashe Lilia board, relatively strong, but doesn't have Lysandre 2, doesn't have like a Hui upgraded onto this board. So yeah, not enough upgrades to beat Setsuko. These fights don't look even close. We got 1 more to see. But yeah, he's even just holding this Lysandre, not for his own ideas, not to play around Lysandre himself, but just so that he can try to deny Soju. And he sells it at this moment so that he can pick up the upgraded Alun. But I mean, I have to imagine this is a win. He positions his set in front of both of the main tanks. Our set rolled some pretty mediocre items here, but hey, it's going to be a big ult here with the Archangels and the Morello into backline, and Syndra is just going to farm up the kills here. A beautiful first place from Setsuko. How many people do you know could play that game from that pivot into a first from this spot, I certainly do not know many people. You know, maybe people in the comments say, oh, you know, he just high rolled, he found a set to or something. But a beautiful game from Setsuko. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe, check out my Twitch and all my other links down below. Thanks for watching.